Good evening, you're watching this Mongolian-MNB World. I'm your host, Anna Amater. And for our top stories, the Mongolian-British Chamber of Commerce in London hosted a networking event. The Ministry of Nature, Environment and Tourism provided a car to rangers. And for the news, stay tuned. There are many cases of poaching in the Hosta Mountains National Protected Area. Having good equipment is very important to limit hunters who have fast vehicles and powerful guns. The Hosta Mountains Special Protected Area protects 15,000 hectares of land. One ranger is responsible for protecting 4,000 hectares of land.
There are more than 10 forest rangers working in the Hosta National Park. The complex is finding it difficult to carry out technical upgrades because it is responsible for securing the funds by its own efforts. Therefore, the Ministry of Nature, Environment and Tourism supported the operation and provided a van.
It is difficult for us to collect the fees people pay for entering protected areas. At the National Environmental Conference held on March 3rd, only one proposal was made. What it means is that the minimum price should be set. If the minimum price is set depending on the management, we will be able to provide certain services and set the amount of tariffs ourselves. For example, such places as Hostanuro are self-financed. We believe that it is possible to earn a certain amount for investments.
The problem of poachers has arisen due to the growth of Przewalski horses, deers, marmot and wolves. It is estimated that more than 100 poachers are stopped each year in this complex. The reason is that community groups have supported the work of rangers. There are 30 partnerships from 172 households in the complex. They inform rangers when they see any suspicious cars.
Car maintenance is problematic. It is relatively safe because our special government agency is run by a non-governmental organization. However, due to its proximity to urban areas, the frequency is high. For example, one of our rangers normally uses about 70 liters of gasoline per month in March, April and May. When poaching is active, rangers use up to 95 liters of gasoline. 10 rangers consume 950 liters per month.
Rangers count their animals once every 14 days. One ranger is responsible for 4,000 hectares of land and also for studying the adaptability of animal movements due to population growth. Of course, regular patrols are held at the other times to prevent poachers. Rangers explained that today's donated cars are the most important factor in the efforts for finding a way to reduce poaching.
The Ministry of Health and the National Center for Communicable Diseases provided its latest updates on COVID-19 status in Mongolia. In the last 24 hours, 120 new cases of COVID-19 were recorded and one person died due to the complications. Following this, let's take a look at other current affairs.
On March 7th, the Mongolian-British Chamber of Commerce in London hosted a reception for members of the Mongolian Parliament Standing Committee on Education, Culture, Science and Sports, who were on working visit to the United Kingdom. The chairman of the Standing Committee of the Parliament of Mongolia, Member of Parliament Demdenyam, Member of Parliament Bulgantoya and Purvdozh and others took part in the event. The reception was also attended by the chairman of all-party Mongolian group in the British Parliament, Parliament member Jay Gray, UK Prime Minister's trade envoy to Mongolia Daniel Kavshinsky and other officials. During the reception, the Deputy Minister of Mining and Heavy Industry Pat Narimdal made a presentation on the current state of the Mongolian mining sector and investment opportunities.
Into opportunities to go back and.
Today, members of Parliament and officials from the Ministry of Mining and Heavy Industry are working in London. The Parliament of Mongolia is soon to discuss the mining stock exchange law. Therefore, we have conducted several meetings with British lawmakers to exchange best practices. The law on mineral resources stock exchange should be transparent and the price for mineral resources should be open to all purchasers. As a member of the Democratic Party group in Parliament, I support this draft law providing all the requirements for transparency. After the COVID-19 pandemic and the war in Ukraine, the world will experience drastic changes. We should make it our priority to attract more and more foreign participation. In Mongolia, there is a perception that women and men's work is different. We are highlighting a teacher who is demonstrating that a woman can work in the same field as a man, namely in the area of repair engineering. She has been teaching many young female students, and she has been contributing to repair work.
Teacher Ayuhand has been working in the area of renovation more than 10 years. She takes precise measurements every day, calculates numbers, makes cuts on lathe-based machine, checks the safety of each tool, and teaches it to her students. She does work that requires physical strength, skill, and feeling. She recently made some of the tools she uses in her training.
I recently made a base drilling machine. If any of our equipment is damaged, it will stop working because it is part of a factory line. So you need a mechanic for this equipment. That way the factory will work normally.
The school has a few female teachers. Today we have a gender stereotype every field due to the traditional stereotype that men's work is harder than women's jobs. She said that she hopes more female students will learn about renovations in the future. The attitude of young people is different than it used to be before.
As I can see, when a girl first arrives at school, she's rather scared. Then after overcoming her fears, they go to the factory. So these girls end up with the desire to be able to do the opposite, work safely, without fear.
I think our three teachers show that a woman can do this, that a woman's ingenuity and engineering are needed just as much in the area of repairs and renovation.
When young people become skilled workers, they can get a job immediately after their graduation and they get a high-paying job. Today, there are about 150,000 students in universities, while vocational training centers have 5 times fewer, or around 30,000. Therefore, it's necessary to recruit more young people for popular professions such as repairman and welder and to raise awareness of their importance.
The children in the repair class adjust the car themselves, so the factory does not necessarily need a technologist. They have a dual profession of being a repairman as well as a mechanic. In general, factories are short of repairmen.
Ayuhand has trained more than 300 students in the last 10 years. She said that one can learn any profession and that one can learn anything only if one is diligent and persistent.
Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Now let's take a look at our regular feature on sports. Yaltalt, the commissioner of the Yanste Basketball Premier League of Mongolia, announced the system used for the playoffs prize fund and season winners on March 9th in connection with the season which is ending soon. The league competition started with 13 teams, which is unprecedented in the history of Mongolia. The league semi-finals are currently underway, said Commissioner Yaltalt. This year, for the first time, the commissioners, organizers and management of the judges established a separate council of judges and appointed their own judges. Judges were also disqualified for misconduct during the competition. This is a sign that international democracy was good. They also established a professional council of lawyers and advised judges. This year's league competition has a prize fund of 130 million MNT. First place 100 million MNT, second place 20 million MNT, and third place with a prize of 10 million MNT. The bronze medal match will be decided by a single match, while the championship series will be decided by a best-of-7 game series. The league's Player of the Year award is selected separately from the most valuable player in the final. Winners of the first 4 league awards: leading player of the league Bilgu, who led the league in scoring. Best defender Ikhwatur was named the best defender from Arkhanga Golden East Warriors team. Best new player Ogunbayr was named the best new player from Tinung Ulzi medal team. The 6th player of the year Mukhwalt from Altan Tanangart with 13 points was determined. The awards will be presented at next week's playoffs. This unity in the Premier League continues to be very successful, but it's very fragile. If lost, this unity is in danger of coming apart. Therefore, the organizers are consulting with many parties to ensure the right decisions are made. The Mongolian national basketball team is facing some important competitions, including the Asian Cup. After more than a decade of absence from the International Basketball Federation, the right to participate in the Asian Basketball Federation competitions was restored this year. Unity is important to build the national team again. I'm making a request to Khursuh, the president of Mongolia and a representative of the unity, because there are fears that the unity might come to an end at the end of the league competition. I want Mongolian basketball to be united and working together, just as the dispute at the Mongolian Basketball Federation has been resolved. We want to play successfully for the national team and take the lead in defending the interests of athletes and fans, said the commissioner during his speech. Here's the weather forecast of world's major cities. Well, that's all for today, and thank you for staying with us. We will see you tomorrow with more news and updates. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.